Hey guys, so I wanted to obviously meet with everybody, but it looks like we weren't able to meet this week, and so there's just some sticky stuff that I would like to just be vulnerable and talk about, and just sort of hopefully express in a way that will open conversations, provide positive ways to problem solve, and for us to grow and learn as a team and hopefully impact um, our school in general. I find that having hard conversations obviously is hard. And if no one's willing to go beyond their sort of safety and express the things that need to be expressed, then change can't happen. Um, because the norm is that nobody wants to talk about things and that it's okay how it is. And right now, I'm not okay with some of the things that are happening, and that doesn't necessarily mean that any one of you is doing these things explicitly. Like, obviously, we don't intend for these things to have the impact that they do. We just say things, we vent, we gossip, we whatever. It just, I think, needs to be expressed from me and the goals that we have for these kids and for this school and for our classroom, that we just have a conversation about being mindful about what we say, how we say it, who we say it to, and where we say it. So, in my attempt to explain everything, I want to start with a why. So, can we see everything here? Okay, so we have these kids that we get in our class, and they're wonderful, beautiful children, and we have the privilege of teaching them. And I hope that first I want to express how much I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you of helping these children be liked by others, be happy. They get to learn, they get to have fun with others, to be safe, accepted. They get to have friends, their teachers like them, and they get to enjoy school because of the work that we do. But a bigger goal that is beyond helping them achieve the gaps in their learning and their skill set is that they would get included in Gen Ed. And so through interventions, supports, and opportunities and all the stuff that we do here, we want them out of our classroom because a lot of them can, and all of them want to. All of them want to be accepted and to be a part of their community. That's what we all want. That's a human nature thing, at least something that I've seen. And all of this is coming from just my perspective, so you can tell me if I'm wrong, or if you think that I'm wrong, and we can have a conversation about that. But I feel like a common human need is to find joy and to be accepted and loved by others. I feel like we're constantly seeking that. And so the goal is to get them out of the classroom as much as we possibly can is for as much time or as little as time as possible. But the goal is to get out because that's the goal. So we got these kids and they want this. And we want this, and I want this, and that's where we're going, and that's my why, that's my dream, that's my hope for all of these kids. And so there's sort of two sort of dichotomies that sort of happen when people aren't intentional or mindful of sort of the things that they say. And a lot of it, I'm not casting blame, I'm not doing anything that, I'm just making us aware, and I want you to help me to be accountable to the things and the stuff that I say and do. So it's all of us hopefully together. You can choose not to participate, and I will have no personal feelings about that. But obviously I want us to grow and learn as a community so that we can positively impact our greater community here. So I want to talk about what I wish would happen. I wish that through ownership and positive interactions with staff and kids and the capacity to have difficult conversations, they don't feel good, but they're productive. and that we'd have norms of presuming positive intent and active listening, that we, with the beliefs that we have about kids that they all can, that we would have collaboration, we would see behavior as communication, that we would have safety, we would have communication, we would enjoy working here. I mean, I hope, at least with the amount of caffeine that I'm wanting to feed you all, that you would feel joyful here, that you would like working here. You all keep coming back, so I really appreciate that, and I love working here too. And so I would hope that that we'd have this psychological safety where we could express opinions, that we would listen to others, that we would feel respected and cared for here through the ways that we either say or do things. And that we would all believe that it's okay to make mistakes, and that would build trust. And so that takes a team, that takes a village. We know all those stories and phrases that go with that, and they apply to our kids as well in this community that we're building. And so my attempt to be very vulnerable about the sticky stuff that I feel is happening, that I don't know all of the details and I don't want to, I just want it to stop. And so because this is how I've seen sticky things impact students, and it is not obviously intentional that it would impact students, but what I see happening does. And once you put something out into the universe, just like in social media, you can't get it back. The phrase putting your foot in your mouth is real. And I am guilty of it too. And I don't want people to feel guilty, but I want people to be mindful, because when I'm going to try to explain how my mind works here and how I see things happen in all of the communities that I have been in, this is what happens. This is what I see happening. This is what I would project would happen from the sticky stuff that happens. So negative talk happens. I'm going to come over here. Negative talk about students, negative talk about support staff or teachers in general. This happens, okay? Whether or not there's an audience or not, it happens. I personally don't do it at school because I don't like talking bad about anyone. I can talk productively about the things that I want to then change and impact, but I personally have a personal goal of not gossiping or venting, because ritual complaining, there is no data that supports that is helpful in any capacity. And I learned that a couple years ago, and so I decided to stop. And it's a habit. And if you want to talk to me about habits, please, I've been reading a book, and it's absolutely fascinating. But when you get a reward from that, it may feel good at the time, but it adversely affects your brain chemistry, and it's not good. So I try to keep my brain super happy. Hence, smiling actually does affect all the chemicals in your brain. And so for me to survive on Earth with all of the situations that happen and the brain chemistry that I have to intentionally be positive. So I choose not to engage in this. I may talk about hard things like I'm doing now, trying to be positive about them. Because what I don't want to happen is this. And so what I would forecast that would happen if other people were to hear or to see this negative talk, that they would then have a negative perception about a student. And even if you're talking about like a little blip in their whole being, like an outburst or something that somebody said, that's a blip. It's a minor detail. It doesn't encompass who they are as a whole. And so you're giving a negative perception of that student or that colleague. And so that just personally doesn't feel good to me, and I don't like to project that on anyone. And so that's just a personal goal that I have, and I am very, very mindful of that, because I've had it be done to me, and I did not like how that felt. And so I choose to live by the golden rule of doing unto others how I would want them to be doing to me. So people can see that, and then it spreads because people talk to other people, and I'll be talking about that in a little bit, but it spreads and it doesn't feel good. This is sort of a trajectory. Then it can impact how just anyone that you talk to how they would interact with any of our kids, or this would be spread to how anyone would think of or interact with any kid. You sort of, unless you're cognizant and mindful of saying, oh, maybe I heard that, but I'm not going to do that, you'd have a negative perception and interaction with that child. Just because of this. Because you overheard or you saw something and you just have this negative perception and you're not mindful of it. And then it just spreads, and that stuff is sticky, and we just have to be very careful about what we put out there. Or it could negatively impact how another staff member interacts with another staff member. And I have been trying to influence this culture here because it's quite segregated and quite, it's not a full community, that I am very mindful that I try to include all and be positive to all. Whether or not I have to have hard conversations with people that are productive, that doesn't feel good to a lot of people, but they have to happen because this happens. And then I'll tell you about this. Or when I go talk to a gen ed teacher and I say, I'd like this kid to come in your class, he's totally ready, and I'm super happy about it, but then I see the look on their face because they have this negative perception because they witnessed this, and they might think in their head that, well, I don't want to have to deal with that kid because I heard about that thing and that I don't want that going on. But they don't have the whole picture of the kid, and so they don't know what that could look like, so they're just going to be guarded and not want to deal with it. Or they could have a negative reaction to me because they've heard something about me or a staff member, but, ooh, I don't want to have to work with Miss Brecky because I heard that other thing, and I just don't have to deal with that, you know? And so she's not feeling good about that. And then this poor little kiddo over here doesn't get in gen ed. This is how I see it influencing that, and that just doesn't feel good to me. Because it's something we could prevent by just being mindful about the things that we say and how we say it to other people and who's listening. Because you don't obviously intend for it to go this far, but it does, because humans are squishy and we are who we are, and so we just have to be careful that we're trying to create this and that this doesn't happen, because we want kids in gen ed, we want them included. That's what they're here for, and we want all of their beautiful thoughts in their heads to get realized. And if we don't have a supportive, collaborative community, then these kids are sort of lost in our adult stickiness. So think about that. How could you impact this? What could you do? Sort of what do you want to lend to this discussion? I'd love to talk to this with everybody. So let me know. I'm going to make another video about something else. So just be thinking about this and how you might want to play a role in doing this. And please keep in mind that I am just sending this out to all of us because I believe that it's good work for us to do. And I love and appreciate you all. Thank you.